Well, hello there. Yes. It's been a while. It's been a long while. I don't think I've hit a month yet. It's been a while since I recorded the last episode. Things have been going on in the background. But saying that, I need to first say I'm still Kirk. This is still Dumb Test Late. That hasn't changed yet. I haven't given up on this show. I haven't hit a month yet. If I hit over a month without doing a new episode, you can start to worry. But okay, I'm back. There's a lot going on. Mainly, I've been dealing with a cold where I couldn't talk for a while without coughing. Like, I would try to talk and end up coughing. Hopefully, I don't have any coughing spurts while doing this. If you hear like weird jumps in it, that's because I'm like stopping the recording because I'm coughing. Hopefully, I can make it through this one. I have been feeling better. And also that I am in the process of moving. This place I'm in now, I call if you saw like small images on in the recent the Insecta podcasts, the cover art, you'll see something that says Studio 4210. That's what I was using as like kind of a fun thing for where I was living. The Studio 4210 is closing down because I have to move soon. And I've been dealing with that, looking for new places in a tremendously bad market as far as renting, as far as owning goes. So that's been stressful. And I haven't been in the creative mental space to really record, just dealing with real life things. It happens. I'm an indie podcaster. This isn't a job or anything. I do this for the fun of it, and I love doing it. And it really was dragging at me that I wasn't doing it. But I needed to get back to it. Like I said, I'm getting over this cold. I'm in the midst of moving. I'm literally recording this on an old Mac Air. I can't even tell you what year this is from. It's really old because I'm packing up my main computer and all that stuff. So things sound different. I'm sorry. It's the same microphone, but just I've gone back to the old GarageBand. But yeah, I wanted to pick up where I left off. So this is going to be an Insecta episode that has really been building in my mind. I've been backed up with creative ideas, but I've been like noting them all down. But the thing I wanted to get through with this story is like all these stories that I've been coming up with, they've either been TV shows or movies. And I've talked about them on the Insecta episodes on the previous ones where I was getting reference ideas for stories. I was going through these deep dives into stuff. And a lot with this story, I talked about it before. There was a like the Hellblazer, the Constantine comic books, the Batman comic books, and I went on a straight up deep dive into comics. I'm down the rabbit hole of sorry if you can hear somebody stomping, neighbors, and a dog barking, but that's reality. Excuse me. But like I said, I was gone in a deep dive. I've really gone in a real deep dive with comic collecting. It's like indie comics. It's like if you like this one, you like this one. If you read this one, you know the next issue isn't coming out for a while, so read this one. And a lot of Dark Horse, a lot of Image comics, which is really good because I've been getting a lot of story ideas. But then it clicked in my head that, like I said, with previous ideas, it's always a TV show or a movie. That's how the template of my ideas gone. I was like, maybe this Insecta story should be based on like the way comic book stories are told. I'm not an artist in any way, and I know I use the whole premise of this podcast is me teamed up with AI coming up with ideas, but I'm not a big fan of using AI as much as like to create a whole comic book. I would never do anything like that. I like using AI as just a small tool. Like I would never be able to create a comic book. The story, yes, maybe, but not the art. I'm not artistically inclined in that way at all. And I would not go down that rabbit hole to use AI to create a comic, to create all the artwork. But these are just ideas I'm throwing up into the podcast creative sphere. Who knows what'll happen. But the storytelling, okay, from my perspective, just the pure storytelling style that would go with a comic book, I think would work for this Insecta story, because comics they're serial based. There's usually four to six issues per story, unless you get like a long run with major characters like, DC or Marvel. I've been reading a lot of indie comics where you just get dropped into a world. You don't know the characters, you don't know this world, and the writer is challenged to basically show you the world, show you the character, show you the hero, show you what's going on, show you the backstory, all in this small space, because the art is the biggest thing. The story and the dialogue is, I don't want to say secondary, but they go hand in hand. But the biggest thing with comics is the art. When you think of a comic book, you think of the art style, you think of the pains and all that stuff, the comic pains, the way the story flows. You don't really think of the dialogue. You may think of the story, but the artwork is going to be the biggest thing. But I love that, dropping the reader into a world and then explaining it around them. And that's what I think I can do with this Insecta story. There's a few comics that I've been reading that kind of remind me of wanting to do this. There's a new one called Heart Piercer from Dark Horse Comics, where you're basically dropped into a world. You don't get a backstory. You get a character doing something. You get their inner voice, their dialogue. You see what they're doing, and you see a betrayal right away. So you're like, okay, I'm dropped in this world. I bought in. I want to see what happens next. I like that serialized story, and that's what I've been doing with this podcast. I'm building the story out. I'm not like, I don't have a story set. I'm building the world around it. And I like that in a comic story form. So that's what I'm going to continue doing. As far as I build this story out, it's going to be in a comic form. Like short story, short dialogue, drop you in a world and let's see where it goes. I really like that. Instead of, something like a movie or a TV show or a book, we have way more time, even though there's other stories I'm going to create that are going to be used, like those templates and those worlds. This Insecta story, I need to learn how to say my own titles. Insecta. My Insecta story around my character Cole. I came up with their name previously, Cole, in this Insecta story. Think of it as a comic without the art, because who knows, in the future, maybe I'll team up with an artist. Who knows? But this is story based right now. So like I mentioned, the comic Heart Piercer. I've gotten the second one this week. It came out. I'm so like down the rabbit hole comics. I'm like all entwined with New Comic Book Day on Wednesdays, and I don't even want to tell you how many comics in this short period that I've bought and collected. Good thing comics don't cost that much. But Heart Piercer is one that is just really good. Just the world and just being dropped in this fantasy world with a badass, female lead character getting revenge. There's also one called Butcher Boy, which is really like violence driven and graphic and good story, because you get dropped in the sci-fi world with these characters. You see them in a place like that, the town where there's hardly anybody there, but there's, a violent history. You see them dropped in that. I was worried when I was reading that one. It's good, but I was worried because there was kind of an insect theme that was going around. I was like, oh man, I'm writing a story about insects, and now there's this really good comic. Like, I'm not saying they stole my idea, but it's like, I'm worried. I'm always worried that any idea I come up with, somebody else who's much better that's already used it. But I don't think that's the main point. Like, I don't think my Insecta story and this story would be mistaken for each other. I'll say it that way. There's another one called Panya, the Mummy's Curse. It's kind of an older comic that I found. That one is like, it drops you in, old Egyptian world. I'm interested to see that goes, but like, I like reading these comics to get story ideas. Of course, this started with like the Mothman comics. I still want to keep I read the Mothman comics. There's only 4 of them, I think. I think there's a next one coming, but it's taking forever. Who knows? But the Mothman is still going to be kind of a guide in my story to Cole. And for this episode, there's like kind of this scene. A couple of scenes I was thinking about. Like, my character Cole is, I was thinking about because like I said before in previous episodes, they're a shaman. but they're a reluctant one. They're, for whatever reason, their past or them going away from their past or not knowing their past. That's where the insects come and are as a medium to guide Cole. Because if you're a shaman, you may not know it, or you may be pushing away from that world. There's always going to be ways the spirit world are going to try to contact you and push you back to, the magic world, the shaman world, and all that stuff. And that's what the insects are going to be in this story. And the Mothman is going to be one of those where, I think I said previously, the Mothman is an entity, but it's an entity built up of smaller spirits in the insect form. I think a lot of whether it be enemies, whether it be guys, the entities in this fictional spiritual world are going to be made up of smaller insects that are actually from the spirit world. That's another thing I talked about, where there's different dimensions. Like Cole lives in, our dimension is a regular dimension, but the past, present, future, and other dimensions are happening at the same time. So there's a way these spirit worlds are traveling between different dimensions, different worlds. And Cole, I was thinking about Cole, what their powers are. Maybe they know they have powers, or they learn them over time through this story, is that Cole can see reality shifting. They can see the jump between these different dimensions. They may not realize it yet. And maybe there's one thing, you can be looking at something and then something else changes in reality and nobody else sees it but Cole, because Cole has a third eye that they may or may not know is active, and they may need help with that. And that's what the Mothman, that's where these guides come in. It could be Cole growing as a shaman. Cole can see that reality jump through their third eye. And they may struggle with that. May be a reason they're pushing themselves away from this fantasy and magic world, because they're afraid of this. They don't fully understand it, or they don't want to deal with that, because it could be maddening. You see reality change and no one else, it's not changing for anyone else. It's just you, and you think you're crazy. You don't have a guide yet to kind of push you in the right direction and say, you're not crazy. This is a power. And that's where the Mothman's going to come in. But I don't think Cole knows the Mothman is their good spiritual guide. I'm going to have a scene where Cole is like coming home from work to their apartment, and they see their neighbor who lives below them, like banging on the door saying they're being too loud. And Cole's like, I just got home from work. There's no one home. I don't have a pet, or I don't have anything who could be making a noise. And then they both freak out. And then they either go into the apartment or like go around in the window and try to see who's in the apartment, thinking someone is broken in. And that's when Cole sees like the Mothman figure. He sees the red eyes. He sees the body shape, but it's in the dark. It's in the apartment. He freaks out because he sees this Mothman entity. Everybody knows what the Mothman looks like with the wings and all that stuff and the glowing red eyes. And he freaks out and he runs away. But in reality, the Mothman character was there to help Cole. There's another entity that's looking negative, a dark spiritual entity that's looking for Cole and trying to control Cole and lead them into the bad direction. But the Mothman is trying to lead them into the good direction, because also Cole, another power they have is that they have, with their third eye, they can see the future. Like there's the whole legend about the Mothman, where the Mothman only comes before a disaster. That's another thing where I said Mothman would be made up of smaller. Mothman is one entity made up of smaller insects or spiritual entities. They're reborn, or they come together before this big disaster. And Cole can see, I don't want to say the future, but they can see things. They can see the future. They can see, just to make that an easier term, they can see people who can jump through realities. They can see if a big disaster is coming. So the Mothman is trying to guide them into being and using that in a good way, maybe stop these things from happening. But Cole is new to this world, or Cole is away from this world of being a shaman. So the Mothman needs to guide them. But unfortunately, Cole sees them in their apartment and they think the Mothman is there to kill him. So Cole runs away with his neighbor and they hide out. But I'm thinking the Mothman has this thing where they find Cole and kind of, break it down to them that they're not bad. They convince Cole they're good. They're looking out for them. and Cole kind of reluctantly accepts that, and because he can, like, the Mothman activates Cole's third eye, so Cole can realize that the Mothman is a good entity, guiding them in the right way. But Cole needs to go through this change. And the only way to do that is they have to be put into a cocoon or chrysalis for some time and go through the whole process. And the whole thing with like a caterpillar or something that goes into a cocoon, it comes out as a moth or a butterfly. When the caterpillar does that, they basically liquefy themselves. They basically have to be destroyed and be rebuilt as this butterfly or moth or whatever they come out with. And Cole is fearful of that. Cole is fearful of change. But the Mothman is saying, it's okay. You need this. You need this change to be able to see, because you have this power. And if you waste this power, a lot of people are going to die or whatever, or there's going to be a negative entity that's going to be able to turn you easily and use your powers for a bad. And like I said before, I use AI as a tool. I'm currently using Gemini, which is Google's or MSN's. I think, who's Gemini? I'm looking it up right now. I think Gemini is Google or MSN's. Which one? Let's see. Gemini AI. Who owns Gemini AI? It's Google. Okay. Yeah, because I stopped using previous episodes. I've used Chatbot GBT, but for people who work there who had not the greatest views on, they posted not the greatest views on Twitter, I stopped using Chatbot GPT. But that's not really important right now. I mean, it is important, but not for this story's sake. So I did the prompt to Gemini AI. This is my prompt. Write a scene in a comic book where the Mothman is creating a cocoon for the reluctant hero named Cole. That's my character. So this is what Gemini came up with. And this is going off of, this is going to be like a change in the story, like Cole going into their shaman role. So, okay, panel 1. This is how they have how Gemini AI has it. Panel 1. Abandoned warehouse at night. A full moon hangs heavy in the polluted sky, casting an eerie glow over a crumbling warehouse on the outskirts of Miami. I like that they use Miami. I don't know if I really have this set in Miami. I was thinking about, because of Mothman, like somewhere like West Virginia or something, even though the Mothman has been seen in different places. Okay, back to AI. The skeletal remains of machinery clawed the inky blackness like skeletal fingers. Cole. They say a young man. I'm kind of using gender neutral terms. I'm not saying they're a man or woman. I'm just saying them. So Cole, a young person with messy brown hair and a paint splattered t-shirt, stands trembling in the center of the vast echoing space. Their face a mask of terror. Caption, Miami. A city on edge, where shadows hold secrets, and the line between hero and hunted is as thin as a moth's wing. That's all right. Across from Cole, a hulking figure with glowing red eyes emerges from the shadows. Mothman. A towering creature with massive moth-like wings and vaguely humanoid body looms over Cole. Fine hair-like antennae twitch on either side of its head. Mothman. In a deep, raspy voice, it's time, Cole. The transformation cannot be delayed any longer. Cole shrinks back, their voice barely a whisper. No, I don't want to. I can't control it. Last time, the city, the destruction. A flashback erupts in Cole's mind. We see a scene of Miami in chaos, flames licking at skyscrapers, terrified screams echoing through the streets. Cole, his eyes glowing red, rampages through the destruction, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. Caption, the first transformation, a symphony of chaos, a nightmare born of power. The flashback fades. Mothman regards Cole with a strange mix of sympathy and urgency. See, that's where, See, AI kind of read my mind because, like I said, Cole has this third eye. He has this sight. So he can maybe see a vision of destruction, but then it hasn't happened yet. He can see not a prediction, but maybe something can happen if he's turned in the wrong way, or another entity that's coming here to this reality is turned. Cole can see the destruction, but he doesn't know what to do. Here's Mothman is going to put him in the right direction, but he needs to put him in this cocoon to change. Okay, back to AI. Mothman. The cocoon will help you focus your power, Cole. It is the only way to protect yourself in the city. Mothman raises a hand, and a swarm of shivering moth-like creatures erupt from the darkness. Their wings brush against Cole, leaving a shimmering trail of dust. He coughs. They cough, their eyes widening in panic. Cole, what are you doing? Get off of me. The dust coalesces around Cole, forming a silky white chrysalis. They struggle against the bonds, their voice muffled screams echoing through the warehouse. Mothman stands impassively, his red eyes fixed on the cocoon. This is not the end, Cole. It is a beginning. Caption. The cocoon takes hold. A hero reborn, or a monster unleashed. And scene. See, AI is reading my mind because they had the whole thing I've already talked about, that Mothman as one entity is built up of smaller insects from the spirit world. That's why I said they raise their hand and smaller creatures come out to web this cocoon around Cole. And Cole has to be, his past has to be destroyed, and he has to be created into something new. Like his third eye is going to be more pronounced. Like he's had these visions and all this stuff because it's like the Mothman. I'm thinking Cole's third eye is built up of smaller spiritual world insects that form this entity on him that show him that vision, but he can't control it. Like he's seeing this destruction, is seeing him cause the destruction or other entities cause the destruction. And he's fearful because he doesn't know how to control that. It's just happening. But the Mothman is here to guide him. The Mothman is here to save the day. But yeah, that's kind of how I see that story going. I don't know what will happen next. What will Cole come out as next? Because I do kind of, that's why I'm saying I want Cole to be this non-binary character where you don't know their gender isn't named or shown. And their transformation, they come out even more of that. They're just like this shaman entity that's neither gender or nothing. They're just an entity now because they have a bigger calling than just whatever their gender is. But yeah, that's how I see this one going. I'm glad me and AI, we're back. It's been a while since I've used AI, but we're seeing eye to eye again. I'm thankful for that. But yeah, that's the progress of my Insecta story. I need to get back to doing this on a regular basis, but as I said, I'm in the middle of moving, so it's been kind of a struggle. But the next studio will be set up. I don't know what I'll call it. Studio 4210 is shutting down, but the next studio is going to be up and running soon. But yeah, that's where I'll end this one. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Catch you on the next one. When the next one will be cake. We're going back to cake. I have another idea for my cake story. But this is Insecta. I'm still Kirk. This is still Dumb Test Slate. Thanks for listening. I hope you catch you soon on the next one. Bye.